Hey, good morning, and welcome to yet another Saturday morning show of Live from the Heartland Radio, today from the beautiful campus of Loyola University, and we've got a very full show. We've got neighbors from Jefferson Park talking about the issue that may or may not have reached your ears going on there. We've got a local education activist from our own neighborhood, Mr. Joe Walter, and we have a couple of activists as well from the voter app Rise movement, which we're going to find out all about from Allie and Nora at the end of the show. Tom Clark, good morning. How are you today?
Katy. I'm doing well.
We want to give a shout out to our partner who's either on the road or soon to be on the road up to Milwaukee.
And as the progressive talk radio environment continues to expand in Chicago, my hat's off to the Klonsky brothers, who had my colleagues Michael and Katy on the radio, which you can listen to on the web. It's something like the far left.
Swinging left.
And it was an entertaining show about the history of founding the Heartland Cafe and a little bit about early elections and how Katy and Michael met. You can get it online, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is for Lumpin' Radio, which our engineer Nolan Chin is also involved with.
It's 105.5 FM.
And in the middle of all that, our other colleague, who we can never get on our Saturday morning program, Ben Jarowski, the reader, has started an afternoon gig on WCPT Monday through Friday from 2 to 5. And I've listened in this week. It's a pretty interesting 3 hours that he has. Call in, much politics. He had Alderman Rosa on talking about the latest immigration stuff. So lots of opportunities in Chicago to hear what's going on at the grassroots level on the radio.
Oh, I forgot about our fourth guests. We've got Kellyanne Conway and Sean Spicer doing a musical salute to Ted Nugent.
April Fools.
What's the... geez, you said it too quick. You said it too quick. All right, let's...
Well, another April Fool was the Friday night release of massive financial records on the worth of the Trump administration officials. We are the richest administration. We didn't mean to say we.
You did.
They are the richest administration in history. Well north, or at around $12 billion. It's just a lot of zeros. I can't get my arms around it. And of course, the president's latest new aide, his daughter Ivanka, moves into the White House worth at least $200 million personally, if not $853 million, suggested her husband Jared, who is of course the top advisor to the president. So they really divested of their personal belongings so there wouldn't be any conflicts of interest. And we move on. I mean, we could fund a few things with just their personal wealth, but it seems like they're in office just to build on that rather than to share it.
Sorry, I lose all energy, all vibratory goodness, all upness when I start hearing stuff like what you just said, Tom. So I have to drag myself back up out of the hole that so many of us live in.
So we're not going to talk about Russians this morning?
No.
Let's move on.
I do want to notice that we've got one alderman, at least, who's trying to give the mayor some good ideas. And actually, he got Kurt Sommer on his side. That was Alderman Ricardo Munoz, our friend, who failed last month to convince his fellow aldermen to spend some money to fight crime this summer. But he came back at it again this week because Kurt Sommer's office evidently had some unexpected extra fundage laying around in the tune of $50-some million. And Rick Munoz went to bat again, God love you, Rick, saying, well, $25 million of that could do a lot for employing kids and getting kids into programs this summer and not shot. So kudos to you, Rick Munoz. I hope you find some other civic-minded aldermen. Where the heck are you all? Actually, I saw about 10 of them last week. I went to the Progressive Caucus's benefit, and we do have 10, almost 11, what they call themselves progressive aldermen. And ours wasn't one of them.
Ours? You mean in the 49th Ward?
49th Ward wasn't.
You missed that dinner. That's too bad.
Missed the entire idea. Sorry.
The idea of actually using Kurt Sommer's fund, which has been hazy in its intentions anyway, to actually create some summer jobs is probably indeed the best violence prevention I mean, it's been shown historically for the couple of generations I've been involved with this work in the city. When you employ kids during the summer, they tend to stay engaged and busy as opposed to finding other stuff to do.
When you simply pay attention, if you simply go where they are hurting and pay attention, you know, all manner of things can happen. Today also is the day that Father Flager is going to do a gun turn-in at St. Sabina's, just to keep on the gun violence theme there for a second.
We might want to invite you to a couple of upcoming Network 49 meetings where you can get more specifically engaged on both community safety and community development issues. Today at 11 o'clock at the Rogers Park Library, the Housing and Community Development Committee of Network 49 will meet. We're continuing our discussion about what we'd like Rogers Park to look like in 5 or 10 years because we feel there's too much spot development going on outside of any kind of comprehensive plan. So that things like the Target Devon development come along, there's not a context for how that fits into real community needs or whether it's responsive or not.
Or even neighbors knowing
That it's
what's going on. Yeah.
So 11 o'clock today at the Rogers Park Library, and then next week our Community Safety Committee is having another in its task force meetings. Katie, do you have any?
It's just like what you're describing for the housing meeting. This is another committee meeting next Saturday, April 8th at 12:30 at A Just Harvest. There's a couple things you should know about right now. The People's Filibuster Chicago, hosted by something called the People's Defense, is happening at 9:30 this morning at the Federal Building, 219 South Dearborn. That's a filibuster in relation to the Supreme Court confirmation hearings. Many people don't feel that a president sitting as number 45 should be naming judges for life, at least not yet. So there's that, and there's also tomorrow a wonderful thing called the Call to Conscience, revisiting King's radical revolution of values, and that would be Martin Luther King Jr. As many of you know, this week marked some 46 years since he did the speech at Riverside Church in New York, where he initially made the connection between making war and keeping people subjugated, basically, and the relationship between racism in this country and making war and imperialist moves over the rest of the world. It was a radical moment.
In the appropriate use of resources.
Yeah, which brings us right around the bend to what's been going on this week, which is really tinfoil hat time. I'm sorry when you're saying that that people don't cause greenhouse gases.
When you have a major oil company executive saying, well, we don't want you to go back on global warming initiatives. It's part of our business plan now. We understand the public gets this, and we get it too. So no, you can't take all these regs away. Yes, an oil executive this week.
Was that Tillerson?
No, Tillerson's now our Secretary of State.
Right,
His
I know
successor
that. Okay.
apparently said this because it doesn't fit with their business plan to eliminate all the global warming stuff that has been established internationally. It's part of the economic plan now. Because in fact, the planet is warming up, and somebody decided that Trump really doesn't want to lose Florida to massive flooding over the next 20 years.
Okay, what I was starting to, I didn't finish. A Call to Conscience happens tomorrow, Sunday, April 2nd, at the Chicago Temple from 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. It's going to feature Sherry Bevel, Rory Fannin, Troy LaRiviere, Tiet Lee, and Bill McNary, and a bunch of other folks. So if you want to be with folks who are talking about that sort of thing, tomorrow's the day, downtown at the famous Chicago Temple.
And of course, we're coming into opening day weekend.
Yay!
The Cubs open nationally, which means I can't see it because it's on cable Sunday night. But the Southsiders open Monday, what may be the best weather we've had in weeks. It's supposed to be dry and sunny, and we wish best for the Southsiders this week. I think it's time that I think we're all probably ready after all this gray to have a little bit of baseball.
Yeah.